Hi, I'm Chris Burns from Techie Gurus, and welcome back. So on March 5th, I talked about risk management. I talked about the 4 things you could really do with risk. So let's make this real easy. Let's just define risk and as the possibility of loss or injury. And let's kind of just go back to those 4 things. So every day we make risk decisions. It could be that you're going to walk across the street, drive a car. It could be you get an airplane. There's always risk involved in decisions that we make. One of the things that we focus on, obviously, is your digital assets, your digital data, your business, your IT. Those are important. So it's important to make sure that you're taking care of those. See, the typical risk matrix, there's going to be 4 choices. You can avoid, mitigate, transfer, or accept. Some will say there's 6 ways, exploit and ignore are 2 additional ways, but we don't really focus on that. So let's just stick with the first 4. You can accept a risk. Do you want to accept the risk? Maybe it's usually what happens is you accept risk when the cost of the risk is less than the mitigation. So let's say antivirus costs $20,000, but your risk of you're only losing $10,000. Well, it doesn't make sense to buy the antivirus. That's a kind of a poor example, but that's an example. Mitigate risk. So what you want to do is you want to put techniques inside. So let's say you find a risk in your company that's worth $10,000. The mitigation is worth $5,000, so you definitely want to go with the mitigation technique because the difference is $5,000. Now you can transfer risk. That's where insurance comes in. I just made a video about insurance and like what you should look for in cyber liability insurance. And again, you can just go back and accept risk. You can accept that it's a risk and that you're willing to take that. So let's talk about how do we reduce risk. Number 1, you want to invest in a good cybersecurity program. Number 2, you want to get the basic cybersecurity controls in place in your business. Number 3, you want to plan for failure of your security controls. See, we try to do everything right, but at some point something will fail. And when it does fail, you want to make sure you have a layered approach to cybersecurity so that at every layer there's some sort of protection for your business. And then also you want to have an incident response and recovery plan. That's important because when things go wrong, you want to have a plan. You don't want to be doing this by just like, you don't want to make it a fire drill. That's not good. So let's talk really quickly about cybersecurity. Number 1, the cybersecurity program. Out of a cybersecurity program, there's going to be really 4 parts you want to maintain. You want to develop policies and procedures. You want to assess and test your security controls. You want to remediate the issues that you find during testing. And then you want to move into a monitor and maintain your cybersecurity posture. Once you're in maintenance phase, what you're going to do is you're going to go back and you're going to keep testing because things change. Right, every day we're seeing vulnerabilities be released. We're seeing that Apple's telling you to patch your iPhone. Windows is saying don't print, things like that. That's never going to change. So we have to make sure that we keep on top of this. We're always testing and maintaining. And we go back and we go through steps 1 through 4 and we review constantly and make sure that we do changes based on your business. So let's talk about the 7 basic security controls for a small business. Now, the small business, in my world, is going to be 25 to 500 users, could be bigger. That kind of fits the Small Business Administration guidelines. So, number 1, you need a firewall. You need a properly configured firewall, not just one that you buy on Amazon and throw in, not one that you get from somebody that's not monitored. It needs to be monitored, it needs to be maintained, and it needs the logs pulled. That's important. You want to make sure that if somebody's taking data from you, that you can stop it or at least alert on it. You want to make sure if somebody's knocking on your door, that you know it's happening so you can properly respond to that. Number 2, you need multi-factor authentication. I made a video about this. If you want to go back, you can watch it. I can post the link down below. Number 3, you want endpoint detection response. This is a little bit more advanced than antivirus. It's looking for more things. We can do a lot more with it. Number 4, you need vulnerability management tools and processes in your business. This kind of goes back to what I said about the printing issue with Windows. Recently, Apple just patched everything because they had a 0-day exploit that was actively being used in the wild that could take over your phone, your Mac, your iPad. This is the world that we live in. Software is going to have vulnerabilities, and we have to try to account for those, test for those, and make sure that we remediate those as soon as possible. Number 5, spam filters. You want to make sure you're doing spam and phishing filters as much as you can. Sometimes that's going to be a balancing act because they will catch legitimate email. We can tune that. It's a tuning process. It's constant. It never stops. Number 6 is educate your users. Security awareness and training is important for everybody. The human firewall is what a lot of people call it. It's important. A trained user, an educated user is a smarter user. They make better decisions. So if they know not to click on a link, or if they know not to do this, like browse to certain websites that they shouldn't be, they're more educated, they make better decisions, they do better for your business. And number 7 is you need offsite backups. Not just offsite backups, you need offline backups. So just in case something happens, ransomware happens, they try to attack your backups, they try to disable those, you can recover the business. You don't want to pay a ransomware payment. Now, I talk about in the cyber liability insurance where that's called cyber extortion, they will usually cover it. You want to make sure that's part of your plan, but you don't want to have to use that. You don't want to have to actually pay the ransom, because that just keeps proliferating more and more attacks. So that's what I got for you today. Comment down below, look, ask what you're looking for. I think what I'll do next, I'll probably look at maybe incident response and recovery, and we'll kind of have a conversation about that. I just want to share this with you. If you have any questions, comments, please drop them down below. You can also reach out to us. I'll put our contact information here. And until next time, be safe.